What's up, Cats fans? It's Paul here from the Hoops Crew to talk about, unfortunately, another disappointing result for the Cats this weekend. Now, the result is a little bit delayed. This reaction is a little bit delayed, as was well documented in my very last minute appearance during post-game live with Ben Reeve last night. I was at my school's Year 11 Deb Ball. I'm their year level coordinator, and so I'm kind of compelled to be there. And so I was trying to watch the phone via KO as much as I possibly could, and try and take on the game as much as I possibly could. But I didn't feel confident in being able to speak authoritatively about the game until now, until I'd had the opportunity to sit back and watch the game and absorb what happened to Reece Stanley and what happened to so many other players representing the Geelong Football Club on the night. And so we'll start at the top. And then I've kind of got some, I guess, if you have caught post game live already, you kind of going to get one of my main hitting points that I kind of emphasized during the call last night about Geelong and these kind of comeback style efforts. We'll start with the first quarter though, where basically nothing that could have gone. Anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We got obliterated through the midfield. Zach Butters and Jason Horne-Francis, the ice bath lover, absolutely grabbed us by the short and curlies in that first term and absolutely had their way with us. And if we kind of bring up both teams and kind of look at the game, Zach Butters leading the game, 34 disposals. Jason Horne-Francis 26, a goal, and was constantly a threat in kind of inside 50 throughout this game. Both of them were brilliant, but that is not to overlook the likes of in the stacks to kind of show it that Ollie Wines and Willem Drew all stepped up in the absence of Connor Rozee. Imagine if Connor Rozee was there. There could have been another 3 or 4 goals piled against us. It was a real bloodbath early on in the piece there. Didn't love it. We think about Port's goal output. The thing that bothered me most, and we knew this because he had a bit of a field day on us late last year as well in the game in Geelong where we did get the chocolates in a pretty close one towards the end of the season when we were still in a potential place to make a charge for the finals. Willie Rioli. Now, he got off the hook, and I've celebrated Jake Kolodjasny a lot this year. I've celebrated a lot of players in the defensive lineup over the course of this year for doing a phenomenal job. We play obviously a very zone-like model, and you can really kind of be accountable for anyone at any given moment. But I feel like Collar, maybe for the first time in about 7 or 8 weeks, kind of had his colours lowered a little bit on the night. And there was a few occasions where Willie Rioli just kind of dropped into space, a space that, Collar was meant to be kind of manning. So whilst he wasn't necessarily always his direct opponent, Collar was the one kind of responsible for him in that moment and didn't get to the ball, or credit to the delivery again from the Port Adelaide midfielders. The ball got in there incredibly well, and that gave Willie Rioli all the opportunity. But there was some that he just found it too easily, and that was a real shame. And we knew what he could do. He had 7 shots on goal tonight, so last night, so it could have been even worse. Really disappointing in that regard. We'll also focus on the fact there's 2 goal assists in there for Willie as well. He blew us away. Because then when you look at it, like Mitch Giardi's 2, sure, Kane Farrell off a halfback, that got a little bit out of hand. Not a fan of how easily he was getting those long bombs on goal. We know what he can do, and the fact that no one was accountable for him in those instances, it's disappointing. Darcy Byrne-Jones with 2, similar sort of story. A little bit of luck involved, but goals are goals. We held the key forwards pretty well. Like Rowan Marshall got 1. I don't think Jeremy Finlayson 1, and then we kept. And admittedly, I have to scroll down a bit before I find him. Where has he gone? Charlie Dixon with none on the night. The key defensive players did their role and did it incredibly well, and I was totally fine with it. We let the smalls get away from us, and that was really disappointing. And we saw it last year, and it happened again this night. But unfortunately, it happened in such a rapid burst at the beginning of the game that we set ourselves a gigantic task, and one that we were unable to overcome. Let me flick back, though, to the Geelong stats before I kind of hone in on that mountain to overcome a bit further. Tyson Stengel, absolutely brilliant. The guy has found his All-Australian form once again. He's been demoing it for a few weeks now. It's been abundantly clear to, I think, anyone who kind of studies the Cats, and even the neutral supporters, the media, started to cotton on to the fact that he is up and about and absolutely flying again. He was brilliant for the Cats. Gary Rowan, very Gary Rowan type of game where he only had 7 disposals. He's always a light on for disposals player, but he got 2 goals. He was there when it counted. He kicked one late in the piece to get us within scratching distance. He did all that could be required of him. Brad Close as well, light on for disposals as opposed to his normal sort of output. You kind of expect a high teens sort of figure for him. Down on output, but very effective in front of goal. Grind doing an amazing job yet again. He's been so solid this year, and there's no reason why he wouldn't necessarily be leading the Kaji at the moment. Zach Guthrie, amazing. Best season. He's probably the one that is actually leading in front of Grind at the moment. If there's going to be a player, it's probably Zach Guthrie at the moment. He has been absolutely sensational so far this year. But the thing was, and Zach Guthrie was a culprit at different times as well, there was just this sloppiness, and we saw it a little bit against Melbourne, and the conditions, at least, you kind of justify it a little bit. It wasn't teeming with rain or any of those sort of things, but it was dewy. It wasn't ideal. But we saw it again last night, and it was just, there was some poor decision making, there was poor execution, and it just wasn't good enough. And then there's Reece Stanley. Reece, my mate, who in the AFL in 2024 plays so badly that they are subbed out early in the second quarter whilst fully fit. It's crazy. And I'd heard it from Ben. I was chatting to Ben during post-game live, and he encouraged me to go watch the footage before I really rendered a judgment. And I appreciate the fact that he didn't try and unleash a bloodbath there and maybe color my opinions a little bit. He gave me the opportunity to go and check it out myself, and I watched it. And Reece was just, I mean, look, to his credit, there was one goal assist in there, and passing off to Tyson Stengel, very, very well, and Tyson jagged the goal from 40, 45 or thereabouts on the run. That was a fantastic effort. But this is like, he was competing against a bloke who was in his 4th game, 5th game. I'll have to double check all that. But like, less than 10, the infancy of his career. This is a premiership ruckman, over a decade in the business, and was absolutely towed up and looked irrelevant. And that was really disappointing. And we know that Toby Conway is breathing down his neck. And so I'm shocked that with the threat of this young up-and-coming ruckman who is absolutely on track to be our next number 1 ruckman for, who knows, 10 years, hopefully. You'd think that would light a fire under Reece, but we've been seeing it for a while. He's just not been delivering in spades. In fact, he's kind of not been delivering at all. And so the question needs to be asked. We've been rotating through a little bit, and we've been trying to, I guess, ease Toby into it, protect him, wrap him in cotton wool, give him a game, give him maybe 2, rest him. Maybe we don't do that anymore. Maybe he's number 1. Maybe Reece is out. It'd be very interesting to see what the selection committee says and does going into our next game against Gold Coast. Obviously, we're a little bit depleted. Jeremy Cameron, as of when I record this, has now been knocked out for concussion after that fall late in the piece that certainly a lot of people have spoken about. The official result is in now. Delayed concussion symptoms. He's in the protocols. He's missing the game against Gold Coast on Thursday night, which maybe creates some opportunity for him to stay in. But, Shannon Neal is kicking the door down. He's played 1 game this year and he lit it up. It's a fascinating situation with Reece Stanley at the moment, and I'll be immensely curious to see if he can retain his spot. Beyond that, I guess trying to circle back to some positives here. Jai Clark, another stride forward, did, as Ben was kind of talking about in post-game live with me, did kind of, he didn't back out. It was just a few poor choices at different stages to maybe lean in and reach for the ball rather than to bury his head over it. And I understand, like, there is this constant thing for any midfielder, any player really, balls in front of them. Am I charging headlong and potentially just trying to push my way through a tackle? Or am I trying to be a little bit more elusive and scoop it up cleanly, and sidestep, and I can keep that momentum going. It's a challenge. It's a challenging circumstance to be in and to try and have to work through. And I think there was just a couple of those scenarios over the course of the game where he didn't quite make the right choice in that particular scenario. Not his fault, really, early in his career. O'Shea Mullen came in for Reece Stanley and did an amazing job in curbing Jason Horne-Francis's output. Massive credit to him. He's obviously spent a bit of time overseas lately. The amount of football he's gotten this year hasn't been huge, but he came in, did a wonderful job. Hopefully O'Shea stays in the team going forward. He is a part of that future for the Cats, and he's showing so much promise. Hopefully that remains the case. I'd love to see him get more hands on the ball. I think that's the thing that we're still looking for at the moment is to kind of get that 10 up. Now, of course, he only played 50% of the game, and that has a bit to do with it. I'd love to see that creeping up towards 20 disposals a game, whether it's through halfback, whether it's a tagging role, whether it's in midfield, whatever that happens to be that the club wants to use him for. I hope that he continues to develop in ways that it seems obvious is the path he's heading on. Finally, as we wrap things up here, I wanted to talk about that first quarter itself and some concerns that I guess I have for the club going forward. It's any Cats fan would remember, that 2016, 17, 18 sort of period, and some of the finals along the way where we'd been kind of blown out of the water early in the piece in a final. I think about a game against Sydney in particular where we got absolute. And for me, it's to be fair, for me, it's kind of stuck in my head because I got interviewed by ABC News on the way into the game. It was kind of just one of those roadside pulling a fan over and chatting to get their thoughts. And of course, it was telecast. Pulling me over to ask me about my thoughts, and I was talking about how Sydney would kind of have a few players that were coming back from injury. We were fresh. Cats should get the job done, not easily, but we should get the job done. And we got absolutely monstered in the first quarter. And I'm pretty sure it was 2016, but I think it was the prelim final. We got absolutely monstered in the first term. It was ugly. It was really, really ugly. Where are we? The first quarter, 7-2, 44 to 5 behinds to Geelong. Now, we won the rest of the game from that point because we were down by 39 at quarter time. We lost the game by 37. We won the game at that point, but essentially broke even for the rest of the game at that particular stage. It was 49 points at halftime. We have a great knack, or we had, I should say, a great knack of getting obliterated and then digging in like the Geelong way, digging their heels in and not giving an inch and having these honourable losses as a result. Now, last night was a bit different to that Sydney final that I'm kind of drawing on, but the idea is still the same, that we've just like those years, we let a team in, we gave them a sniff, we weren't switched on from moment one. And that allowed, in this case, Port Adelaide, who is absolutely a momentum, energy, excitement club. If they get a sniff, give them an inch, they take a mile. They're that sort of club. You give that team an inch, they'll take it. And then you've got a huge road ahead to come back. And to the Cats' credit, again, we gave it a massive shake, and we can talk about the umpires. I'm sure the chaps will do that, though, so I won't kind of steal their thunder too much. We can talk about the umpires and the advantage rule, and it was a mistake. They made a mistake, and that would have put us a point down, ball back in the center. Cats with all the momentum could have and maybe should have won the game. But we also shouldn't have been in the position in the first place. And so what I'm looking for from the Cats going forward is something that we've seen through the first 7 rounds, where we were 7-0, and it was this maniacal intensity from moment one to the final moments of the game. And we kind of lost that. And we lost it in patches against Melbourne as well. And I'm not going to go as far as to say I'm worried, because we saw once the switch was flicked and the Cats got the game back on their terms, that their game plan absolutely trumped everything that Port Adelaide was delivering, which is awesome. But we should never have had to chase like what we did. And that's my main concern, I think, for the Cats going forward, is how can we ensure on a week-to-week basis, regardless of how we're managing players, who's in, who's out. Jeremy Cameron is out this week. Tom Hawkins is still out of form. Thank you to Hawk for kicking a goal, though. That was a relief. He's out. Reece Stanley might be out. Tanner Bruin may not be back. Danger's not back. Like we're a bit depleted here. And we've had plenty of players coming through doing an amazing job. I'm sure Zach Tui will come back, do a phenomenal job. There's lots of positives, so many positives out there still. But how is it that we're able to deliver a start to finish full intensity performance? Because we've kind of lost it in the last couple of weeks. And I hope that they can rediscover it soon. Because the Gold Coast is absolutely one of those momentum teams as well. If their midfield, which is sensational from Anderson to Rao, and it obviously runs so much deeper as well, if they get a sniff, they will rip strips off us. And it's the midfield where we're at our weakest. We need to be on them from moment one. Make them earn it. Smash them going the other way. Hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we bank the win this Thursday night. And hopefully we're celebrating and some of those concerns are allayed. Let me know in the comments what you think about Geelong v Port Adelaide, round 9, 2024. It's disappointing. I'm not appalled by it, but I am disappointed to see kind of that old Geelong creep back where we've given a team a giant head start and had to try and honorably chase it, because for me, there's nothing honorable about it. You blew it early on. You blew it early on, and sure, you shook the tree as hard as you can later on, but it doesn't matter. Damage was already done. Let me know in the comments what you think. If I'm being too negative, let me know. If there's if I've been too positive, let me know. Check out the Hoops Crew for a whole range of other content. In the corner here, we've got our number one sponsor, Valhalla Brewing, doing amazing work. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you to all of our patrons for doing the same thing. Thank you to all our YouTube subscribers for checking out these reviews and a whole bunch of other stuff, all on the Hoops Crew channel. Check it all out. The chap's doing an amazing job. Ben's doing an amazing job. I'm okay. Go check out Behind the Play. We've got amazing guests still coming down the pipeline over the coming weeks and months. Thank you, Cats fans. Remain Geelong strong, and I'll see you later.